In a shocking turn of events, Ford's CEO has just exposed some alarming truths about the electric vehicle industry. Ford, one of the biggest names in the game, has just dropped a bombshell, and trust me, it's got everyone in a frenzy. See, Ford's been going through some rough times lately, with financial losses piling up and the competition getting fiercer by the day. And you know what they say, when the going gets tough, the tough have to make some tough decisions. And that's exactly what Ford's doing. Let me explain. What's happening? Ford is struggling, and now they are also making a pivot towards good old hybrid models. They're planning to introduce hybrid versions of all their Ford Blue lineup vehicles by the end of the decade. Yep, hybrids are the name of the game for now, as a quicker solution to meet consumer demand and keep costs in check. But what does that mean to the rest of the market? Well, first off, they're putting the brakes on a brand new all-electric 3-row SUV and their next-gen electric F-Series pickup truck. The SUV launch is getting pushed back from 2025 to 2027, while the electric pickup's debut is now delayed until 2026. The reason? They want to let the market mature a bit and take advantage of the latest and greatest battery tech to make sure these bad boys are built to last and affordable. But this is just scratching the surface. Let's dissect all the reasons behind this. Why are they doing this? The very first issue is price war. It's a battle royale out there, and the leading contender, none other than the one and only Tesla. These guys have been straight up throwing down the gauntlet with their ruthless pricing strategies, and it's sending shockwaves through the entire EV market. I'm talking major disruptions, my friends, and you know who's feeling the heat. None other than the good old blue oval, Ford. Yep, Ford's EV ambitions are taking a serious hit from this price war madness. They're having to go back to the drawing board, rethinking their timelines and their whole approach. It's like they're trying to navigate a minefield, but the obstacles just keep popping up. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why in the world would Tesla be so cutthroat with their pricing? Well, let me tell you, those guys are playing hardball. They're determined to dominate the EV space, and they're not afraid to get a little scrappy to make it happen. The other car shaking up the industry with their unbeatable pricing strategies is BYD, and let me tell you, it's working like a charm. Now, let's start with the secret sauce. BYD's aggressive pricing moves. They've been slashing prices across their entire model lineup, cutting anywhere from 5% to a whopping 20%. And the results? Well, in March 2024 alone, they sold a mind-boggling 300,000 vehicles. That's a serious comeback from the previous months, my friends. But it's not just about the big numbers. BYD's got a real knack for targeting the sweet spot in the market. Their budget models, priced between $14,058 and $28,116, are absolutely crushing it, stealing sales away from those traditional gas guzzlers. Talk about a game changer. And let's not forget about the bigger picture. As of 2024, BYD holds a dominant 27% share of the Chinese EV market. That's right, they're the biggest player in town, and they're not slowing down anytime soon. In fact, they've become the largest seller of battery electric vehicles globally, surpassing even the mighty Tesla in the fourth quarter of 2023. Now let's talk about how this intense price war directly impacts Ford. Price war's impact over Ford. Ford's just slashed the price of the Mustang Mach-E by a cool $5,000 and $900. But here's the thing, Tesla's not taking this lying down. Nope, those innovative geniuses at the Big T have gone and dropped the price of the Model Y by a whopping $13,000. It's like an all-out brawl in the EV arena, and these two titans are throwing down to win over the hearts and wallets of the people. And you know what's really fascinating? Consumers are getting super price conscious thanks to all these killer deals. They're weehing their options, A-ing up everything from electric to hybrid to good old gas-powered rides. Ford and Tesla better be on their A-game if they want to capture that sweet, sweet market share. It's a high-stakes game of chess, I tell you. Ford's got to be strategic, keeping their EVs affordable and irresistible, all while making sure those profit margins stay healthy. It's a delicate balancing act, but hey, if anyone can pull it off, it's this automotive heavyweight. So what's the verdict? This price war is just getting started, folks. Ford's bringing the heat, Tesla's not backing down, and the consumers are the ones calling the shots. It's going to be one wild ride, that's for sure. But if you ask me, I wouldn't bet against Ford. These guys have got the chops to come out on top. See, changing strategies and abandoning the EV hype train isn't just a strategic shift for Ford, it's a matter of survival. They've got to stay nimble, keep their prices competitive, and make sure their electric rides are irresistible to those EV-hungry consumers. It's a delicate balancing act, but if anyone can pull it off, it's this automotive juggernaut. And the other reason for Ford's failure is cooling demand for EVs. Sure, Ford's EV sales have seen some growth, but they're just not meeting expectations, especially here in good old North America. It's like the whole country is stuck in the slow lane when it comes to EV adoption, while Europe and China are zooming past us. These mainstream buyers are just not convinced. The higher prices, the range anxiety, the charging infrastructure woes, you name it, they're a tough crowd to crack, that's for sure. And let's not forget about those pesky operational disruptions, like that recent cyber attack that knocked out a key software provider and cost dealers a cool $1 billion. Talk about adding insult to injury. At the end of the day, Ford's EV struggles just go to show how complex and cutthroat this industry has become. It's a whole new ballgame, and the Blue Oval's got to get creative if they want to stay in the game. But you know what they say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Now that I told you how this price war is shaking up Ford's strategy, let's dive into just how deep the impact goes. It's not just about slashing prices or adjusting timelines. There's a bigger picture here, and it's painting a tough road ahead for Ford's EV ambitions. You see, it is not just the price war, it is all of the other factors together with the price war that is making Ford struggle. The price war is more like the last nail on the coffin. So how big of a deal is this really? How is it affecting their bottom line? Let's break it down. A volatile market. The US EV market has been showing some signs of stagnation lately. It looks like folks aren't snatching up those fully electric rides as quickly as the industry hoped. But let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. While the EV division is struggling, Ford's good old gas-powered Ford Blue division is the real moneymaker. In the second quarter of 2024, Ford Blue raked in a sweet $2.3 billion in earnings before interest and taxes profits. Not too shabby, even with a 13% drop in revenue. Let's talk about the $1.3 billion loss that Model E racked up in the first quarter of 2024 alone. That's a staggering $132,000 lost for every single one of the 10,000 electric vehicles they sold during that period. And it just gets worse from there. For the entire year of 2023, the Model E unit recorded a total loss of a whopping $1.7 billion on sales of 116,000 EVs. That's an average loss of around $40,500 per vehicle. But let's put that into perspective. Ford's commercial vehicle division, the Ford Pro, they reported a massive $2.4 billion gain thanks to a 36% surge in revenue. It looks like good old internal combustion engines are still the name of the game when it comes to the business side of things. And get this, Ford's not the only one taking this approach. Other major automakers, like General Motors, are also exploring hybrid options to keep their lineups balanced. Gotta love a little industry-wide trend, am I right? Now, you might be thinking, but wait, aren't EV sales on the rise? Well, you're not wrong. Ford's EV sales did see a 61% year-over-year increase in Q2 2024. The problem is, the overall volume is still pretty darn low. They only managed to sell about 23,957 EVs in that quarter, which is a far cry from their traditional gas-powered models. But is Ford the only automaker failing? Let's start with the big guns. Ford, GM, and Nissan. These guys are scrambling to stay competitive in the face of Tesla's aggressive pricing strategies. It's like they're playing a game of chess, trying to anticipate every move and counterattack. Nissan has also been dealing with some serious EV sales challenges, and you know what they're doing? Doubling down on good old hybrid tech. That's right, Nissan is about to start cranking out more hybrid models, and it's all part of their plan to balance out this whole electrification thing. See, with the EV market getting more and more competitive by the day, Nissan's realized they gotta get a little creative to stay in the game. They're not sitting on the sidelines either. Nope, these guys are increasing their hybrid offerings, recognizing that the market demands a diversified approach. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket, and that could pay off big time. Toyota has been the kings of hybrid tech for ages, and now they're doubling down on their trusty hybrid solutions, while the rest of the industry goes gaga over electric vehicles. Now, I know what you're thinking. But wait, aren't EVs the future? Well, Toyota begs to differ. They're taking a more cautious approach, and you know what they say, slow and steady wins the race, right? Toyota is also getting some heat for their slow adoption of EVs, but they're not backing down. They're sticking to their guns and staying true to their hybrid roots. After all, they've been perfecting that tech for decades, and they're not about to let a little EV craze throw them off their game. GM's is facing some serious challenges, like those pesky production delays and supply chain issues. Take the Chevy Silverado EV and the GMC Hummer EV. GM's been scrambling to get these bad boys out the door on time. And you know what's to blame? Those darn semiconductor shortages and other supply snafus. It's like they're playing a game of Tetris, constantly adjusting their production schedules just to keep those eager customers satisfied. But here's the thing, despite all these hurdles, GM's traditional vehicle segments are still raking in the big bucks. The only problem? Their EV division hasn't quite cracked the code on profitability yet, and that's got the company rethinking those aggressive timelines for electric vehicle dominance. As for GM, well, they're reevaluating their timelines and production strategies. It's like they're playing a high-stakes game of Tetris, trying to figure out the right moves to maintain profitability while still investing in the future of hybrid and electric tech. But you know what's really interesting? The potential for partnerships and collaborations in the hybrid space? I mean, think about it. These automakers could team up to share research and development costs, develop new hybrid platforms, or even secure better deals with suppliers. It's like a win-win situation. Imagine the kind of innovation we could see if Ford, GM, and Nissan put their heads together. They could revolutionize the hybrid game, making these rides more affordable and accessible than ever before. And with the combined resources and expertise, they might just be able to give Tesla a run for their money. So, what's the takeaway here, my fellow gearheads? This EV price war is no joke, but the automakers are fighting back and they're getting creative. But let's see what Ford is really planning to combat this challenge. Now watch carefully. What's their strategy? Fords are pulling the plug on their plans for a sleek, all-electric 3-row SUV. This was supposed to be their answer to the Tesla Model X and Kia EV9, but the big bosses at the Blue Oval had a change of heart. Turns out they just didn't think this new EV would be profitable enough in its first year on the market. As Ford's CFO bluntly put it, if they're not profitable based on where the customer is, where the market is, we will pivot and adjust. Translation? Gotta make that cash, folks. So Ford CEO Jim Farley is getting strategic. He knows they need to build a profitable EV business, but they also need to be smart with their investments. Hybrids are the bridge to get them there until the full-on electric market really takes off. And the hits just keep on coming. Ford's also hitting the brakes on the launch of their next-gen electric pickup truck, the T3. Instead of rolling it out as planned, they're delaying the big debut until at least 2027. Clearly, the pressure from financial challenges and fierce EV competition is taking a toll, but Ford's taking a step back to re-strategize and make sure they get this electric pickup just right. So what's Ford's big pivot based on, you ask? Well, they're shifting gears and doubling down on good old hybrid tech. The plan is to introduce hybrid versions of their popular SUV models, like the Explorer and Expedition. This hybrid focus is all part of Ford's strategy to appeal to a more mainstream, practical customer base. After all, lots of folks are still hunting for reliable alternatives to traditional vehicles, even if they aren't quite ready to go all in on electric. Gotta keep those options open. Am I right? It's a bold move for sure. But Ford's clearly feeling the heat and making some tough calls to stabilize their business. Who knows, maybe this hybrid pivot will be the secret sauce they need to weather the storm and come out on top. One thing's for sure, the future of the automotive industry is anything but boring. Is it really going to work? Now, I know what you're thinking. Hybrids? Isn't that a step backwards? Well, let me tell you, it's not that simple. Let's talk about this whole declining hybrid sales thing. Turns out as more and more folks are getting jazzed about fully electric vehicles, the hybrid market just isn't what it used to be. Even the OGs, like Toyota, are struggling to keep those hybrid sales humming, so Ford's gotta be wondering, is this hybrid thing really the way to go? And then there's the whole lack of differentiation problem, with every automaker and their cousin offering up hybrid options these days. Ford's gonna have a tough time standing out from the crowd. I mean, how many hybrid Mustangs can one person drive? Am I right? Consumers are looking for that special flair, and Ford's hybrid lineup might just blend in with the rest. But wait, there's more. Profitability is also a major concern. Sure, hybrids might be a bit more profitable than EVs in the short term, but who knows what the future holds? As battery technology keeps improving and those EV prices keep dropping, the cost advantage of hybrids could go up in smoke, and with the cutthroat EV price war raging on, Ford's hybrid models might not be able to keep up. And let's not forget about those pesky regulations. Governments around the world are really pushing for full-on electrification, and Ford might be missing out on some sweet incentives and opportunities by focusing on hybrids instead of going all in on EVs. And here's the kicker, this whole hybrid shift could end up hurting Ford's brand image. Some of those eco-conscious consumers out there might see it as a step backwards, wondering why Ford isn't leading the charge towards a greener, cleaner future. But this new strategy is not so bad after all, if you ask me. Let me explain how. And it gets better. Ford's not just throwing these hybrids out there willy-nilly. Nah, they're getting serious about their manufacturing facilities. They're converting that Oakville assembly plant in Ontario into a full-on EV production hub, but at the same time, they're ramping up hybrid production. It's like they're hedging their bets, using their existing infrastructure to cover all their bases. But the real deal is this cost management and profitability focus. These guys have been through the ringer with their EV adventures, and they're not about to make the same mistakes twice. Ford's committed to making sure every single new vehicle, hybrids included, is turning a profit within 12 months of hitting the market. No more of that money-losing nonsense. They're getting serious about the bottom line. And let's not forget about those urban customers. Ford's got their sights set on developing more affordable, practical hybrid options that'll really appeal to the city slickers. After all, they've seen how slashing prices on the Mustang Mach-E can send sales through the roof. Affordability is key, my friends. But here's the thing, with this crazy price war raging on in the EV market, consumers are starting to wise up. They're looking for those more affordable options, and you know what's catching their eye? Yep, you guessed it, hybrids. Now, I'm not saying hybrids are the end-all be-all solution, but they're certainly making a strong case for themselves. I mean, think about it. You get the fuel efficiency and lower emissions of an electric ride without the sticker shock. It's like the best of both worlds, am I right? See, these ingenious rides give you the best of both worlds. The electric power and eco-friendliness of an EV with the good old reliability of a gas-powered engine. So you can kiss that range anxiety goodbye and start embracing the open road, knowing you've got a backup plan in your pocket. And let's not forget about the fuel efficiency factor. With gas prices constantly fluctuating, those hybrid rides are becoming more and more appealing, especially in regions where the cost of filling up is enough to make your wallet cry. It's like having your cake and eating it too. You get the green cred of an electric vehicle without the financial headache. Now let's dive into the demographics of the hybrid buyers, shall we? These guys and gals are a diverse bunch, ranging in age and income level. Unlike the EV crowd, who tend to skew younger and more affluent, hybrid buyers come from all walks of life. It's like the everyman's electric vehicle, making that eco-conscious ride accessible to the masses. But don't get me wrong, both hybrid and EV buyers share a common thread. They're environmentally conscious and want to reduce their carbon footprint. The difference is, the EV enthusiasts are often the early adopters, the ones who are all about the latest tech and innovation. The hybrid buyers, they're a little more practical, maybe a little more budget conscious, but no less passionate about making a difference. And let's be honest, not everyone's ready to make the full leap to a fully electric vehicle. There's still that range anxiety and the whole infrastructure building thing to consider. But with hybrids, you can dip your toes in the water, get a feel for that electric experience without feeling like you're totally abandoning your trusty gas-powered friend. Oh, and the tech. Ford's not messing around. They've got a whole skunkworks team in Cali cooking up a low-cost, super flexible EV platform that's going to level up their hybrid game too. These guys are leaving no stone unturned in their quest for automotive dominance. At the end of the day, Ford's hybrid strategy is all about finding that sweet spot between innovation and stability. While the EV market's still figuring out the whole profitability thing, hybrids are stepping in as a transitional solution, giving Ford a steady revenue stream to work with. It's a balancing act for sure, but these blue oval boys are determined to stay in the game. But what's Ford's long-term game here? Are hybrids really just a short-term solution, or do they fit into a bigger electrification strategy? Let's take a look at the long-term plan. Long-term plan. Now, we all know Ford's been making big moves in the hybrid game, but let me tell you, that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to their long-term vision for electrification. Ford's committed to making the full transition to fully electric vehicles, but they're not rushing into it. Oh no, these guys are playing the long game. They've actually delayed the launch of their next-gen electric F-Series pickup and a brand new all-electric SUV. Why, you ask? Well, they want to make sure the market's ready and that they've got the latest and greatest battery tech to work with. After all, they want those future EVs to be built to last and affordable for everyone, not just the high rollers. And speaking of battery technology, Ford's investing big time in advanced solutions. They're developing a low-cost, super flexible EV platform that's not only going to support their future electric models, but it's also going to take those hybrid vehicles to the next level. Talk about a two birds, one stone kind of deal, but Ford's not just focused on the hardware. They're looking at the bigger picture too. These guys are committed to creating a more sustainable automotive future, and that means aligning their electrification strategy with some serious sustainability goals. We're talking about reducing carbon emissions, expanding their EV lineup, and making sure those hybrid rides are doing their part to clean up the air. So what's the bottom line? Ford's not playing around when it comes to going electric. They're taking a measured, strategic approach, but make no mistake, they're in it for the long haul. From delaying new model launches to investing in cutting-edge battery tech, these blue oval boys are laying the groundwork for a greener, cleaner automotive future. And you know what they say, slow and steady wins the race, right? That's a wrap for today's deep dive into Ford's evolving strategy in the EV landscape and the broader automotive market. It's clear that the competition is fierce, and the industry is at a pivotal crossroads between full electrification and hybrid solutions. Ford's decision to pivot toward hybrids while recalibrating its EV plans shows just how dynamic this market is. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think Ford's hybrid strategy will pay off, or is it just a stopgap before fully embracing EVs? Let's know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.